Well, greetings out there in YouTube land, and welcome to today's video, which will feature the contents of this shipping container. As you may or may not know, I'm pretty well retired from working on amplifiers for customers. But every once in a while something pops up that I just can't resist. Such is the case with the amp in this box. First, we're going to let Jack and Rusty give it the sniff test, and then we'll open it up and see what you think. Now, as an essential part of any new project, we have to get Rusty's approval with his infamous sniff test. Okay, here's the maestro giving his sniff test. Results look favorable. Once we see the tongue, we know it's thumbs up. Thanks, Rusty. I'm really excited about the opportunity to work on this amp, and in a couple seconds you're going to see why. Okay, now it's time for the grand unveiling. If you take heart medication, I warn you to look at your own risk, and also for others, be sure to have some smelling salts handy. Okay, here we go. The nicest 1957 Tweed Fender Vibrolux that I have ever laid eyes on. Since this is such a rare opportunity, I'm going to go into great detail on this amp and its circuit. We'll see how it compares to the 5E3 Deluxe. We'll look at every square inch of the inside and outside of the cabinet and chassis, and we'll discuss the circuit itself and any repairs that are necessary, or ways to improve the tone. So if this sounds at all interesting, better pull up a comfortable chair, grab a beer, and get ready, because here we go. Here we have Jack closely inspecting the shipping case that the Vibrolux came in. Like Rusty, it's important that it pass the sniff test before we start working. Looks like it did. First off, how about that grill cloth? Absolutely flawless. Look at the tag, one that always brings a flutter to the ventricles of a Fender enthusiast when it says Fullerton, California on the name tag. The Tweed is just extraordinary. You know, Tweed doesn't hold up very well. You'll see a lot of these old Tweed amps that are just like rags flapping in the breeze. This one, however, is in just beautiful shape. Few little minor abrasions right here that honestly could probably be touched up, but I'm not going to. Look at the leather handle. I don't have handles this good on some of the newer amps I own. It's absolutely beautiful. Turn it around and it gets even better. An original Fender foot switch. Now, I'm not sure about this power cord. I have a feeling it's been replaced, but they replaced it with a two-prong cord. To me, if you're going to replace the cord, you might as well do it right and go with a 3-wire grounded power cord. Let's look here at the control panel. A little bit of corrosion here and some rust on the panel, but you have to be real careful because the silkscreened letters on this have oxidized and will wipe off like chalk on a blackboard if you're not careful. So you have to be very, very cautious if you decide you're going to try to clean up one of these control panels. Looks like the jewel is broken. I believe the jewel on this is supposed to be red. I guess because the jewel was broken, this bulb was painted red to compensate. We have our depth and speed for our tremolo, single tone, single volume, and 3 input jacks. Okay, now let's pull the upper and lower panels so we can get a good look inside. The screws are really tight in the wood, which is a good sign. It means the back hasn't been off that much. And the screws themselves are the correct oval head Phillips type. The back panel was actually stuck to the cabinet and had to be pulled loose, and it still has its original asbestos sheet. Look at that. That glue is still holding after, what, 60 years? I wish my glue would hold that well. Beautiful. Same with the lower panel. Snug screws and glue that is holding like grim death after 60 years. Well, it looks like we're greeted with 60-year-old dust. That'll be easy to clean up. Got the Jensen Alnico speaker. We'll take a closer look at it in just a minute. Tubes have been replaced. We've got Sovtech and Tungsol tubes. I'll have to check these in the shields. Wow, and here's the interior of the chassis. As you can see, spectacularly original, unmolested over the years. Kind of an interesting artifact back here, a selenium rectifier, probably for the bias circuit. Up here is probably the death capacitor, still intact. No doubt that this power cord has been changed. I think I'm going to change it again, since this isn't original, and put in a 3-wire grounded cord just to play it safe. All the original electrolytic filter capacitors, Astron caps. Really astoundingly original. Sadly, though, not all of the news is good. The speaker cone appears to be just totally shredded, which is a real shame. It'll probably have to be reconed. I'll know more when I remove it. Well, it's definitely the original speaker. You can see it's Jensen from the 220, made in the 13th week of 1957. So it's definitely worth reconing if it needs it. Here's one more look at that beautiful Jensen label on the speaker, but it is totally eclipsed by the fact that this speaker was approved by the Department of Building and Safety. Now let's face it, this department also approved atrocities like death capacitors and 2-wire power cords, so I think we can assume that they were very easy to please. You can also see by the scuffed up paint here on the speaker basket perimeter that the speaker has been removed at some time and then put in, rotated slightly from its original position. Somebody probably pulled it out, took a look at that cone and said, "Oh my God," and put it back. And now, before I remove the speaker, let's take a look at these rubber feet, which, if you pardon the pun, sort of defeat the purpose of rubber feet because they have a steel bottom cap. I know this is going to endear you to your wife no end when you set this on the kitchen table and slide it around a little bit and leave big gouges. Look how the rubber has over the years oxidized and discolored the tweed. Really neat. Well, there's the speaker, and it's time to get out the air sickness bag because this thing is destroyed. I mean, the voice coil is out of the pole piece and canted at about a 20-degree angle. I can't imagine what type of volume this thing was operating at to do this. But this will definitely complicate things a bit because I'll have to order a reconing kit for this 10-inch Jensen speaker. Even the little braided wire contacts have been ripped out of the cone. I just shudder to think what it would take to do this, but I wish I was there to hear it. So I guess it's time to start looking for a reconing kit for a Jensen P10R. Now let's take a look at the original tube chart. It'll tell us a lot about the amp. First, those wonderful words, Fender Electric Instrument Manufacturing Company, way before CBS. Second, up here it tells us the circuit, 5F11. So I'll download a schematic for the Fender Vibrolux with this particular circuit. Up here is the build code. It says GF. G is 1957. F is June. So this was made around the middle of 1957. And I've covered up the end of the serial number. Since this doesn't belong to me, some people like to preserve privacy when it comes to things like this, but it's an F007, which puts it right in the middle of 1957. We can see that it's a 5Y3 rectifier, two 6V6s for output, and two 12AX7s for preamp and tremolo oscillation. We can see that the serial number on the chassis matches the tube chart. Also that the metal on this chassis is as shiny and clean as the day it was made. That's astounding. This was obviously kept in some area or place that was fairly dry. Okay, I've pulled the chassis out of the cabinet and this thing continues to amaze me. Look at the finish of the metal. It looks like it was made yesterday. And here's a rather uncommon look at the transformers that are hiding behind the chassis in a Vibrolux. To me, they're rather strange looking for a Fender amp, but this is the exact right power transformer, NYT 5396, and this is the output transformer that it should have. I think you can read the numbers 50246. One thing that scared me is you notice the second lead here is almost touching the output, which would be a dead short. I'm going to, of course, reroute that. Okay, you see the chrome that was hidden under the cabinet is just about perfect. And here is the kind of grungy control panel before I started cleaning it up. Now, people may ask, why would you want to clean up this grungy old control panel? And my answer would be, well, if I were looking around in a garage and found a mint XKE Jaguar with an inch of dirt on it, would I drive it around with the dirt on it, or would I remove the dirt so people could see the original finish underneath? Well, here's the control panel, and I think you have to admit that finish is spectacularly nice considering the age of this amp. Still a little bit of corrosion, probably from like skin oils or things like that that have gotten on the metal, but overall so much nicer than it was. To celebrate, I dug a little screw-in Fender jewel for the indicator light out of my parts hoard and screwed it in place. Next, I'll detail the knobs and install them, and then this control panel is going to be about as nice as a Vibrolux control panel can be. My tools were Q-tips, a clean white face cloth, and just pure water to clean, and a whole lot of attention to detail and care. If you are the least bit harsh with this or in a hurry, you're going to remove the lettering. And I didn't remove any of it, and neither will you if you take your time and do it right. And here it is with the knobs in place. Looking really good, I think, especially considering its age. This is interesting. Look at that GF that's stamped on the chassis. It matches the tube chart GF for June of 1957. Okay, here's the new 3-wire power cord, all soldered in, and the ground wire then is securely screwed down under one of the transformer bolts. Hey Rusty, how excited are we about this new Vibrolux project? We're darned excited. Well, that about does it for this first video in the Vibrolux restoration series. We disassembled the amp and took a really close look at the chassis, cabinet, and speaker, both inside and out. And now it's time to go order parts. In the video part 2, we're going to take a look at the schematic and see how this circuit came about and how it compares to the Fender Deluxe of the same period of time from which it evolved. Then, once the parts arrive, we will finish our repairs, assembly, and then finally test the amp. So I hope this sounds appealing and that you will stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now. Hey Rusty, what do you think about this new Vibrolux video series? I can tell by your enthusiasm that you're really excited about it. Okay, just relax now. Take it easy. Don't get yourself too upset.